Hello and welcome to Dialogue. A landmark permanent friendship pact has been signed between China and the 5 Central Asian countries during the second summit in Astana, Kazakhstan. Chinese President Xi Jinping hailed this agreement as a milestone in relations among the 6 nations, saying it represented an innovative endeavor in China's neighborhood diplomacy, a contribution for our time that benefits generations to come. So what does this pact mean to the region and China? And how has the summit opened a new path for deeper China-Central Asia cooperation? And how does this partnership stand out in a world stricken with conflict? Join us for our discussion today, live from Beijing. I'm Xu Qinduo. Joining me today are Juma Ordubayev, former Prime Minister of Kyrgyzstan, Professor John Gong from the University of International Business and Economics, and Joseph Gregory Mahoney, Professor of Politics at East China Normal University. Welcome to the show. We'll start with Mr. Ordubayev. So a series of agreements have been reached between the 6 nations, and one agreement stands out is the pact of a permanent friendship. So tell us, what's your response to such a, let's say, high degree of political trust and, of course, a close cooperation between the 6 nations?
I would be very straightforward saying that the second summit, China-Central Asia, was a very big success. The pact is considered to be a kind of constitution of how we will cooperate. But next to the main document, we signed dozens of another agreements, which is detailing who will do what in which time frame and what will be responsibility of each partner. This format was established already during first inaugural meeting of the summit 5+1 in Xi'an 2 years ago. And this first summit established platform and principle on how we will behave. It's cooperation, but responsibility to fulfill whatever we agreed upon. So what is important then in the second summit, parties discussed what kind of implementation quality have been achieved during these 2 years. And implementation quality was very high. This is number one. Number two, even more ambitious and long-term tasks were put ahead, that in 2 years we will see even more significant results. And numbers speak for themselves. If you look to investments, if you look to the trades, if you look to GDP growth, if you look to reconfiguration of our cooperation from traditional items to digital economy and modernization, then we see tremendous move forward. We are in Central Asia really proud that we are as equal partners with China, moving ahead and being more successful, more competitive in our challenging world.
Professor Mahoney, what do you make of this permanent pact of a friendship? What does it mean to this region?
The comment that it is kind of a constitution guiding relations to be a very good assessment. I think the immediate context, of course, is that earlier this month we saw India meeting with these various leaders. We know that there's been a major discovery of rare earths in Kazakhstan, perhaps putting Kazakhstan now in a 3rd position, which is once again bringing strategic attention to Central Asia. But China, of course, is very well positioned. China has more than a dozen years building BRI projects in Central Asia. China has been advancing a principles-based foreign policy for a long time there in this, unfortunately, this new era of great power competition, where you see, of course, the problems happening right now, where the U.S. may be moving into a more aggressive position with Iran, which certainly will strike Central Asia with dissatisfaction, as well as some discomfort in Central Asia with the Russian-Ukrainian conflict. So China in this position of being a friend, of being a reliable partner, of really helping to move forward with mutual development. These are things that I think really underline this trust and this desire to move forward in ways that I think far outpace all other countries that are perhaps licking their lips and thinking about Central Asia again as a strategic destination.
Well, John, of course, we know that China for years have been talking about being equal among nations. Mutual respect is important, handling each other. And now, of course, there's a new term seems called China Central Asia Spirit. Of course, right. My understanding is that under this kind of spirit, so they worked very well and they, of course, achieved a lot. The spirit features mutual respect, mutual trust, mutual benefit, mutual assistance, and the pursuit of a common modernization through high-quality development. Yeah. What do you see as the embodiment of their cooperation?
Well, I mean, these are the words from President Xi's speech. He actually explicitly mentions the thing you mentioned, that this is described as China Central Asia spirit. I think this is a shining example of how a region of countries can work together to form a new relationship, devoid of geopolitical maneuvering, devoid of sort of competition that is manifested in many parts of the world, as well as, with a long sustaining peace and prosperity. I mean, this is a pact consisting of 6 countries with vastly different sizes, with different ethnic backgrounds, with different religious beliefs, and difference in many other things. But nevertheless, they can still work together for something very permanently peaceful and working towards prosperity. And on top of this, I would say this is more than just a foreign policy sort of architecture, but it's also a security architecture, economic cooperation architecture. So I think this actually is a very good example to show to the rest of the world, which is actually not so much peaceful these days, that how a region of countries can work together to form a kind of a peaceful pact for a common prosperity development.
Well, I would say probably under such a spirit, you do see, the rapid growth in terms of their ties, since the first summit in 2023, for example. Trade between China and the Central Asian countries has surged by 35%. Right. And of course, in terms of the number of joint ventures projects that also surpassed like 10,000, right. Underscoring this deepening economic ties. Right. And at this summit meeting, China promised to provide like 1.5 billion yuan grant this year, to support the public welfare and development goals for these countries. And also, in addition, China will offer 3,000 scholarships for young people from the 5 regional countries to study in China. Obviously, there's a lot to come in terms of cooperation here.
Yeah, well, I mean, China being the largest economy in this region certainly has the responsibility to help those countries to develop their economies, especially against the backdrop that these are the countries that are very much landlocked countries, and they need infrastructure to be connected to the rest of the world. I mean, the 1.5 billion yuan is not a small number. I mean, these are, in dollar terms, about over $200 million, right? Divided by 5 is $40 million per country, and that's a grant. Let's keep in mind that's a grant, right? So I think this shows China's sincerity in terms of helping these countries to further develop economically, as well as develop political relationships that can be for the long-term, sustained, peaceful environment for that region.
Right. Mr. Alderbayev, of course, as John mentioned, most of the countries are landlocked. And then that's why the importance of connectivity. And, with connectivity, of course, in our mind, we have the Belt and Road Initiative. 12 agreements being signed. And Kyrgyz President Japarov, in the summit, did say that he prioritized, he stressed the priority of connectivity, in particular the active construction of the China-Kyrgyzstan and Uzbekistan railway. The president noted, this transport corridor, which is a key element of the BRI, has become a real bridge between the countries. Uniting markets and contributed to the strengthening of economic and cultural integration throughout the region. So the construction itself is bringing the countries and peoples together. I mean, tell us more about the project.
Yes, problem with landlocked countries that our transportation costs to outside markets are huge. So we left uncompetitive in that respect. for many centuries. But what's happening now? We are in the middle, as I name it, Eurasian Rail Revolution, when the trade between China and Europe is picking up mainly by land. So what happened is outstanding fact. Last year, the trade by railroad between Europe and China became cheaper than by sea, partly because of Red Sea problems. So it became not only cheaper, it's quicker. Instead of 2-3 months, it's 12 days between Chongqing and Duisburg, and environmental cleaner. And if you're delivering high quality goods like semiconductors, computers, electronics, then you need quick delivery. So now railroad is picking up. That is why the railroad path, which will be passing between China, Kyrgyzstan, and Uzbekistan, will be closest, shortest between Europe and China. So there is guaranteed flow of goods between China and Europe, and we will be in between. And last December, it was official inauguration, opening of the construction, and in 6 years, we will see a railroad in place, as very often as China is happening quicker than planned. It will be unique, really, because we are a mountainous country, and in our territory we have only 268 kilometers of railroad, but it should be built 90 bridges and 50 tunnels. Incredible. So it will be linking and joining Uzbekistan railways, and through the middle corridor will move through Azerbaijan, Georgia, Turkey, Black Sea to Europe. So we will be able to trade economically efficiently with China between ourselves and European countries. So suddenly we change our status from landlocked to land-connected areas. And if we add to this project, build it north-south railroad through Afghanistan and Iran to the ports of Indian Ocean, we transforming Central Asia into real transportation hub of 21st century. We will be going back to the old great time of Great Silk Road, where namely Central Asia was a place where West met East and North met South. That is why in Middle Ages, Central Asia was the most prosperous part of the world. And we are looking forward to go back to our glory days of Great Silk Road.
Well, John, of course, the summit also witnesses the launch of joint centers of several of them for desertification prevention, cooperation in education, poverty reduction, and the Central Asia-China uninterrupted trade platform. 3 centers and 1 platform. You know, it seems like the cooperation is very inclusive, and also is expanding.
Yeah, well, I mean, economic cooperation will definitely spill over into these areas, expand into these areas. These are the aspects of a close relationship that you would expect. So I think, this is an area that has a lot of potential, and probably we're going to see more Chinese investment in that area. And with the infrastructure in place, with the connection to the European markets, other parts of the world, I think this could be a place as a base, essentially, as an exports center for manufacturing of goods located in these countries. And that's certainly lifted the living standards as well as economic level of these countries.
A great future for this region. Well, that's all for this part of the discussion. Coming up next, we have a panel to delve into the ongoing tensions between Iran and Israel.